Alright, this video is all about setting the right expectations. What do you expect from the Power BI report? And when do you start tuning the performance? What is the magic number of seconds when you say, okay, enough, this is slow, I have to make this run faster? Is it 1 second, 5 seconds, 10, 30, 60 seconds? How do you know when is the right moment to pull up your sleeves and start optimizing the report? I'll give you a very clear and straightforward answer. It depends. I know that you probably didn't expect that answer, but I have to disappoint you and admit that there is no single golden or magic number to tell you when to start the tuning process. And let me explain you why. 5 seconds. Is it slow or not? Well, if your main data model table has 500 million rows and your report page renders up to 5 seconds, I would say, go away, find a nice beach, grab yourself a cocktail and enjoy. You don't need this course. However, what if your main table consists of 1000 rows? These 5 seconds now seem like an eternity, right? By the way, if you really have a table with 1000 rows and the visual needs 5 seconds to render, I'm begging you to watch this course. I'm sure you'll find a few things to pick up and make this report renders in sub-second. Talking about sub-second, would you invest your time and effort to optimize the report to render in 0.2 instead of 0.4 seconds? Probably not, as I'm sure you can spend the time needed for performance tuning much better somewhere else. So the first thing to keep in mind, 5 seconds is not the same in every single scenario. I know that this might sound awkward, but we need to put the expectations in the proper context. If you don't trust me, and I mean, why would you trust me at the very beginning of this course? Let's include scientific research to shed more light on the topic of setting the right expectations. Nowadays, most of the content is consumed via the web. It's not different with Power BI as well. There is a measurement called tolerable wait time, or let's call it TWT, abbreviated, based on scientific research from Dr. Fiona Nah from the Missouri University of Science and Technology. Dr. Nah defines this measurement as how long are users willing to wait for a web page to render before abandoning it. Per this research, 0.1 second gives the user the feeling that the system reacts instantaneously. 1 second is about the limit for the user's flow of thought to stay uninterrupted. 10 seconds is about the limit for keeping the user's attention focused. For longer than 10 seconds, users will want to perform other tasks while waiting for the page to render. Despite that, according to another research from Nielsen, 15 seconds is also considered tolerable. With all these in mind, we can talk about 10 to 15 seconds as the tolerable waiting time for the Power BI report page to display results. Now, unlike regular web pages, which are to a large extent deterministic, meaning they contain a certain number of elements, no calculations and so on, so the rendering time is easier to predict. With the Power BI report is not that easy. First, you can use the same dataset, but one report page contains 3 elements while the other contains 25. Or one report page contains 10 visuals with very simple calculations, while the other consists of only 2 visuals which display quite complex calculations. Let alone comparing the report page based on the small dataset versus the report page based on the giant data. I told you there is no magic number to tell you when to start tuning your Power BI report, and it would be a huge mistake to set a single performance target for every report within your organization. In addition, you and I, as Power BI developers, often don't have control over the computers users are using to consume the report, the browsers they use, and so on. However, don't be afraid that I will let you down and leave this video without sharing my personal targets, which I acquired during the years of optimizing various Power BI reporting solutions. So there you go. From the end user perspective, a typical report should not take more than 10 seconds to display all the numbers on all the visuals on the report page. If it's a complex report, meaning we have to deal with very large tables and complex DAX involved, I would increase my target to 25 seconds. Of course, there will be some exceptions as always, but let's say that 90 to 95% of report loads should fall under this threshold. That's one perspective, and user's perspective, and I admit that this is the most important perspective. However, there are also other significant points of view here. Without going any further, I'll mention only Power BI Service Admin and Database Admin. These personas will for sure knock at your door if the non-visible parts of your Power BI report, namely data model size and data refresh process, burn all the resources in the background. Therefore, it's also of paramount importance to set the right expectations on this side of the street to avoid potential bottlenecks behind the main stage. As we walk through the course, you will find out how to get the most out of these background processes and how to optimize these workloads to make your admins happy.